FPL Donatellas, welcome back. I'm your host, Sean the Don, and I hope you've had a great international break. As for me, I spent my international break trying to learn how to skimboard, almost tore my knee, spending way too much time ranking my top 5 TV comedies and rap albums of all time. Do not ask me because it's still not finished yet. And yesterday I finally pulled a Stingray barb out of my foot that's been in there for like a month. So yeah, I'm ready for FPL to resume this weekend. I can't wait to spend countless hours watching some football, American and European. So before we get into my Game Week 4 squad, I want to give a quick couple shout-outs. First off to those in the Donatello's Mini League, code in the description below. There's a 3-way tie for first place right now between Enyako Kings, who dropped 88 points this weekend, Harmless Demons FC, and DC Neverkusen, all tied for first place with 264 points. Congratulations, man. Y'all are killing it right now. Also want to give a quick shout-out to Wilbur, a.k.a. Will Willie. You beat me in our friendly wager to see who would score more points last weekend. Congratulations, you've had a good season so far. And I will be streaming on Sunday again after the final match is concluded, and potentially on Friday, but we'll see what happens with that. It'll probably be around 4 o'clock London time, somewhere around that time, 5, 6 o'clock London time. I'll keep you posted with that. But anyway, let's go ahead and see how my Game Week 4 squad did. So as you can see here, I ended up with 54 points, and no, I took no -4. Thank you, I know. Probably the biggest accomplishment I've had all season, which probably says a lot about how my Game Weeks 1 through 4 have been. But FPL aside, because I know it's hard for me sometimes to enjoy Premier League matches when you have a captain who's blanking like KDB. But that was one of the best Premier League weekends I've seen in a long time. I mean, you had Leeds tying City 1-1. You had Leicester losing to West Ham 3-0. You had Wolverhampton barely escaping Fulham, a team that we all thought we should captain Jimenez or even just throw triple up on Wolves. They barely escaped to Fulham 1-0. You had United go down on an early red card to Martial. Probably could have had 2 or 3 red cards. And Tottenham dropped 6 on them. 6-1 to Tottenham. And then on top of all that madness, you had Aston Villa drop a 7-piece nugget on Liverpool. 7-2. I mean, the only way you could have predicted this is if you were Back to the Future 3 or 2. Back to the Future 3ing it, going back in time and betting on some sports matches. I mean, unbelievable weekend. It was so fun to watch. And to come up with 54 points, honestly, I'm pretty happy about it. It gave me a nice little green arrow. But there is some bad news with the squad. I mean, I had 3 defenders, essentially. Gave me the same amount of points combined as the amount of tweets that Vanessa Hudgens has responded to me with. 0. And the biggest culprit out of the all being Trent Alexander-Arnold, dropping that 1 under par -1. I mean, honestly, at this point, if Trent did anything, I don't think people would be surprised. If he goes this weekend and gets a hat trick, people are going to be like, that's just Trent. He's one of the best players in the world. If he goes ahead and gets a hat trick of assists, people will be like, that's just Trent. He's a magician. He puts in a phenomenal cross. That's what he does. If he goes ahead and gives up 7 to Aston Villa again, people are going to be like, that's why you don't double up on Liverpool defense. I mean, he is the biggest wild card in the game right now in Trent Alexander-Arnold, but he's fun to have. He's a great player to have in my squad, and he's not going anywhere for the time being. But a -1, I mean, it's never a fun thing to have. And again, putting FPL aside is a little rough, but when you watch that game, after like 4 or 5 goals, I started turning to Jurgen Klopp myself, just laughing at every single goal that kept going in, especially the deflection goals. But the back line definitely hurt. I had Kyle Walker-Peters, who again dropped another 5-piece for me. He has been a phenomenal player for 4.5 mil. No complaints with KWP at all. Then as far as my midfield goes, they put in work this weekend. Shout out ASAP Ferg. This is why I put all my racks in the middle. Rest in peace to Nipsey Hussle. Because my midfield balled out this week. Saka himself came up off the bench and got a goal and dropped 8 points, which is just so liberating to see him score. I think he is a really good young player, and I hope that he can develop into a great player in the future. And it was so great to see him score a goal. Then I had Mo Salah, who I probably should have switched the captaincy armband to him once I found out that Mane was out. Because when Mane is out, he turns into a monster for FPL, as if he already wasn't one. Like, what are some monsters that I can compare him to? He's like the Monstars from Space Jam. He's like Reptar from Rugrats. Megan from Drake and Josh. This dude is a monster. I mean, he threw up 2 goals in a game where they got creamed by Aston Villa. Mo Salah has been a staple in my FPL team this whole time I've been playing for 2 years, and he's going nowhere. This guy can absolutely ball, and looks like he's going to have another monstrous season ahead of him. But I'm not going to lie, keeping the captaincy on KDB I'm not too upset with, because I still think it was the right choice. And coming like the 8th minute when he had that free kick where he caught the keeper napping and hit post, I was thinking to myself, this dude is going to go off. I am ready for him to get a couple goals here. But then the game started opening up more and more, and he started dropping deeper and deeper to cover for his defense. And I'm not going to lie, as an FPL owner, that was definitely frustrating to watch. But as a Premier League fan, man, that game was a lot of fun to watch. But again, having him blank against Leeds was very unfortunate. Of course, hindsight, I would switch it to Mo Salah, but at the end of the day, I still think I made the right choice going against Leeds, who had like the most expected goals against this season, or second most behind West Brom. I'll fact check that for you for the stream this weekend. Then I had James Rodriguez. This dude put up 2 goals and had an assist with three bonus points. In fact, hindsight, I would put the captaincy armband on him. And I don't get why people say that he's the guy who assists the assister, because looking at his career, this guy is averaging 0.91 goals or assists per 90 minutes. In his entire career, that's a 0.9 goal involvement for his whole career. He is getting a return every single match. I don't know where this assisting the assister came from, but this dude is a flat-out genius on the pitch. He is playing incredibly well for Everton, who are on top of the table right now. He's only 7.8 right now, as I bit my tongue going into talking about that. But James Rodriguez looks phenomenal. He's controlling the game at that right wing spot. And as long as he has DCL, who keeps putting goals in left and right, and Richarlison, who's playing really well, I expect to see him get a lot of assists this year, as well as contribute to about, I would guess about 10 goals this season. Dude looks phenomenal. He is incredible in my squad. Then I have Harvey Barnes. Now, if you've been watching my last couple of videos, I've been really hyped on Harvey Barnes. Now, hindsight, yes, of course, Jack Grealish would have looked good, but I still like Harvey Barnes playing over West Ham and with his fixtures than Jack Grealish over Liverpool. But again, it's 2020, so who knows. But Harvey Barnes, that was just gut-wrenching. If you watch the match, he scored in like the 93rd minute before he got called back for an offsides from a pass that he received. And it was so just, see how tongue-tied I am right now? And I squeak. Harvey Barnes looks so good for these last few matches. I'm not upset choosing him at all. He was just super unlucky to not come away with points in that West Ham match. And honestly, that little bit of passing right before he scored that goal, before he got called offsides, was brilliant. He looked phenomenal in that. Leicester had a shaky game, but I still like their form going these next few matches, and I'm still a fan of Harvey Barnes moving forward. So let's go ahead and get this out of the way. My fours. Week in and week out, they consistently disappoint me. Now, as far as Timo Werner goes, I went surfing right in the middle of the Chelsea match. So it was 0-0 when I got in the water. I come out of the water, 4-0. I mean, I was hyped. I was like, this is the week I finally have a return on Timo Werner. People can stop laughing at me for having him in my squad. And look at the score sheet. Chilwell scores before Timo Werner does. Zuma scores before Werner does. Jorginho dropped 2 goals this weekend, both penalties, I believe, before Timo Werner got an assist or a goal. I mean, disappointing to say the least. I thought for sure he would score for me, but, I mean, it is what it is. Am I disappointed? Yeah. Am I going to drop him? No, because I still have Vinagre on my team, so I got to hold on to him for now. Spoiler alert. And then we have Raul Jimenez. Now, before I brought him in my squad, you know how the story goes. Here it goes. Was that Keenan Kell on a side note, or was that all that? Anyway, before I brought him in my squad, 8 points against Sheffield, 6 against City. I bring in my squad. Yeah, of course he blinks. Blinks against Fulham, who I thought for sure he was going to score against. Now, I'm not going to complain too much, though, because before I picked up Jimenez, I had Martial, and Martial got a red card this weekend. So if I would have kept Martial, I would have been in a lot of trouble. I would have been forced to use a transfer, potentially -4. So at the end of the day, I'm happy with 2 points from Raul Jimenez, which sounds wild to say. But yeah, so that was my Game Week 4 squad. I ended up with 54 points. Now, this was brought up on the stream. We're thinking that every time that I drop below the potential idea, anytime I drop below the Game Week average, that I have to do something that you guys suggest. I'm going to call it Don or Dare. So it's something like, I don't know, I don't want to say anything crazy, nothing illegal, obviously. Somebody mentioned like pouring milk on my head. Something to where if I don't get the Game Week average, I have to do something that you guys say. Let me know in the comments if that's something you want to do. It's just something that was brought up in the stream. But anyway, Game Week 4, I had 54 points and a nice little green arrow. So let's go ahead and jump and see what my Game Week 5 squad looks like. So as of right now, I'm planning on making no transfers right now. I've come a long way, guys. I'm growing up as an FPL owner. Now, this is for a couple reasons. Now, first off, this is only contingent on if COVID news, injury news happens, because KDB might not play right now, but if, let's say, Salah doesn't play or Saka doesn't play, I'll be forced to use a transfer. It's also depending on if Vinagre is gonna fall in price again. If he doesn't fall in price, I can hold on to that. My plan right now is to transfer out Vinagre and Saka next week with my 2 free transfers. Now, I'm doing this for two different players I'm looking at. One, Ross Barkley. Now, if you want to know more about Ross Barkley, Americans Talk FPL did a great piece on him in their last video. Check out their video. I'll drop the link in the description. But they did a really good number on Ross Barkley. He looked really good in that Aston Villa match versus Liverpool. Of course, a lot of Villa players did. But it was his first game with them. He was getting super high up the pitch. And with Grealish on the left side and as attacking as Barkley looked, Barkley could be in for a decent amount of attacking returns this season. And he's only like 5.9. But in order for me to do that, I would have to drop Vinagre down to like a 4.1 million defender and bring Saka to Ross Barkley. That is something I am strongly looking at, but I want to wait to see what he looks like this weekend. And the second thing I'm going to do is I would drop Saka to like a 4.5 mil defender, and I would raise Vinagre to like, let's say, Ben Chilwell when healthy. And those are the 2 moves I'm looking at right now. But, of course, if news happens and I'm having players on my squad who can't play, my plan right now is to then switch out Vinagre for Dallas or Ayling, most likely Dallas. But those are the few transfers I'm looking at for next week. So for my back line, I'm staying the exact same. Margot Robbie's in goal. She was great in Wolf of Wall Street. Matt Ryan was disappointing in goal last week. Was that a bar? Anyway, Matt Ryan staying in goal. I cannot waste a transfer on a keeper right now. If I was wildcarding, I would look at bringing Martinez in for Aston Villa. But as of right now, I'm sticking with Matt Ryan. Again, I can't waste a transfer on a keeper, and I hope that he can get some points against Crystal Palace. Then you got Kyle Walker-Peters against Chelsea. I don't expect him to get a clean sheet against Chelsea, especially hoping because Timo Werner goes off. But I am hoping that he can be able to get some attacking returns. Chelsea don't look as good defensively. Actually, I don't know if they look good defensively for a couple of years now. And Conte had a bit of a fall off, apparently, rumor has it, but rumors I'll put aside for the FPL video. Kyle Walker-Peters hopefully can attack that right side with Chilwell being out and get an attacking return, hopefully. And then I got Trent Alexander-Arnold going against Everton, Saturday morning game. This one I'm gonna hopefully put FPL to the side and just enjoy the match, because Everton are top of the table and Liverpool have a loss now and they need to make up some ground now. Maybe not need to, it's still early in the season, but they want to make a statement that, hey, we're still Liverpool. And Everton want to make a statement like, no, we're here to challenge for that top 4 spot. We are for real. So that's going to be a great game. Trent Alexander-Arnold, let's see if he can get some attacking returns or not. I still have faith in him even after that 1 under par last weekend. Now for my last defensive spot, I'm going with Taylor from Burnley. Now, I don't really trust Burnley assets right now. They weren't as good defensively this season as they were last season. But I believe they started off last season slowly too. And I was hoping that when Tarkowski returned to the lineup, that they would be able to regain some form. But Tarkowski returned last weekend and they gave up 3 to Newcastle. So maybe it's just him dusting some rust off. But hopefully going forward, they can be solid defensively again. Now for my midfield, this is where things get tricky. Right now, I have Saka starting against City, which is probably not ideal, especially because it's away. But Tierney looks like he's going to be out this weekend, so Saka is most likely going to get solid playing time. Now, of course, I can never guess with Arteta and Saka, but I'm kind of rolling the dice here. Because even if Saka doesn't play, I could have Brewster come in off the bench and replace his spot. And yes, if I brought in Dallas, I could start him versus Wolverhampton. But I really, really want to save that free transfer. And I'd honestly rather get a 0 or a 1 from Saka than to waste a transfer to bring in Dallas, who I don't necessarily want for the long term. So I'm going to just hold on to Saka and hope that he can get a return against City, or even just play against City, honestly. Then I have Harvey Barnes going up against Aston Villa. Now, honestly, is Aston Villa going to drop 7 on Leicester? Are Leicester going to drop 7 on Aston Villa? Find out next week on Premier League. I was going to do a Dragon Ball Z joke, but I don't know if it was going to hit. Anyway, Harvey Barnes still looks good to me. I still think, as far as the eyeball test, all 4 game weeks he's looked really good. That goal last week taken away was definitely unfortunate. He's still averaging a few shots off per 90. I still think he looks really good. And I still think on that Leicester squad, I still think they have a great opportunity to get a few goals against Aston Villa, even though Aston Villa do look really good defensively right now. We'll see what happens. Honestly, who knows? It's 2020. Harvey Barnes can come up with a brace, he can blank, and I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm hoping that Harvey Barnes can come through for me. Then I have the Egyptian King Mo Salah, who's probably going to get my captaincy armband this weekend. But I am a little hesitant about it, I'm not going to lie. Because on one hand, he looks great right now. He's on phenomenal form. He's got like 5 goals so far to start the season. And he's averaging like 5 shots per game. On the other hand, Everton look good. Really good. Shout out Nacho Libre one time. They're averaging the best expected goal against in the Premier right now. 2.9 expected goals against for the whole season. So it's hard for me to kind of back that up. But again, it's Mo Salah. He is phenomenal. I put my money on Mo Salah versus any team in the world. So I think I'm going to go with that for right now. Because my captaincy armband was probably going to go on KDB before he got flagged. Now, as you can see, he is definitely flagged right now, and it was due to lack of fitness, I think, quote unquote. He left the Belgium squad a little early. And not only that, he was talking about earlier in this week how the schedule has been unfair. I don't know if unfair was the word he used, but it's a word that I will use. They have been playing so many matches back to back, they haven't had a chance to rest physically and haven't had a chance to rest mentally. I know from experience that when I play so much and don't have a break, it gets to you. And so maybe KDB doesn't play this weekend. Maybe pulls a Jose and Son and plays and scores a couple goals. So in that sense, I'm going to leave him in my lineup at least. I probably won't put the captaincy armband on him, even though I would really like to, but depending on what news says going into Saturday. But he's going to stay in my lineup for now. And like I said, Brewster will come in if he doesn't start. But on a sidebar, they need more time to rest their bodies and rest their brain. Anyway, then I have James Rodriguez. Now, James Rodriguez against Liverpool at home is a sneaky captaincy pick. Not one that I don't think I would do. But James is on great form. Everton's on great form. And I'm just excited to watch this game, man. It's going to be an absolute fireworks show. I was going to say 4th of July, but that's an American thing. And in all honesty, this is a must-win game for Everton at this point in the season. They're playing against this Liverpool squad, and this would be a huge statement game, and they go 6 points clear of Liverpool. But again, is he going to come off the bench? Is he going to get limited minutes? It's tough to say. But at the same time, James Rodriguez is not a 2-week punt for me. He is a long-term investment. At this point, I'd probably consider him a season keeper. Of course, that's super early to say, but again, if he doesn't play this week versus Liverpool, I'm not worried because I still have so much of the season left for him to be in my squad. Best decision I made was bringing him in. I'm going to start with the obvious and Timo Werner. No, I have not dropped Timo Werner yet for DCL. I know a lot of people are going to laugh at me for that, but my reason isn't that I was waiting for Pulisic and Ziyech to return. It was that I had a lot of holes in my squad to fix before I fixed Timo Werner. But that being said, I am excited to see what Pulisic and Ziyech returning does for Timo. Now, other than the fact that Pulisic is super dynamic with the ball, he's always looking to attack and break down defenses, and Ziyech is a magician with his left foot, both those combined for a great opportunity for Werner to sit in the middle and poach. But again, other than that, last week Werner was playing wide and Tammy Abraham was up top. This might give an opportunity for Timo to get a lot more minutes sitting high. So I am super excited to see what those two wingers are going to do with Werner up top. And let's see if he can get a goal against Southampton. If he did, I'd be running through my streets right now with the mask on going wild if Timo scores this weekend. I'd be through the roof. But again, if I get out of the water and it's 5-0 and they win and Pulisic gets a hat trick and Zuma scores 2 again, actually, I'd be happy with that because Pulisic scored 3. So, hey, let's go. Then I have Raul Jimenez. Now, a lot of people are talking about maybe getting rid of him because he blanked in back-to-back game weeks. But this dude is Mr. Consistent over the past 3 Premier League seasons. Last season, I remember specifically, he went like 2 or 3 game weeks without scoring post-COVID return. And everyone's like, drop him, switch him out. And then he went on to score like 4 out of the next 6 weeks. Something wild like that. So I'm not worried about Raul Jimenez. He has a great run of fixtures coming up. Of course, I am worried about Wolverhampton and all the COVID issues going down right now with Cristiano Ronaldo getting it and half their team being on international duty. But we'll see what happens with that. As of right now, Raul Jimenez, I'm hoping that he can score against Leeds. It would just be such a beautiful thing to see it happen. And again, he's Mr. Consistent. He's not going anywhere in my squad for the next 3 game weeks. Knock on wood. So that was my video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit that like and subscribe button. That would be more beautiful than Alex Morgan when she scored her 4th goal for USA in the World Cup. I really need to get her Tottenham jersey up here, don't I? Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed that video. let me know what you guys think of my Game Week 5 squad. Who are you guys bringing in? What are your transfer plans moving forward? And again, I will hope to stream live on Friday around 5 o'clock London time. And I will for sure be live streaming on Sunday after the last match is concluded. You guys have been so great so far. Please take some time out of your day to make someone smile. And again, have a great day. Am I putting music on this part? Anyway, Don out.